once again, I keep on saying, I told you this, I told everybody this last time. I'm going to check the iPhone storage before I start a video. I'm going to do that going forward. Didn't do it. And had I done checking my iPhone storage, I would have realized that, yes, I did build that Space Police one set because that video is still on here. But I already uploaded. Usually when I upload a video to the wonderful YouTube channel that I have, I delete the video. But I didn't do that. My iPhone went out of storage. So sorry about that. But I don't think I have much more to say about this. So this is going to be quote unquote, you know, the life and times of mice and men. Quote unquote. I'm going to wrap this up very soon. Those of you who have been here before will realize that, take that with a grain of salt, because something might happen that will send me off on another obscure tangent. But I said basically everything I wanted to say before. I'm just trying to figure out if I can start building that, because I got those pieces, and I'm going to do some sorting first. What that's piece? I don't think that's in there. No, it's not in there. These. Oh, and there's the last one. Got the trifecta: 1 by 1, 1 by 2, and 1 by 2. So and not a lot of the regular 1 by 2 by 2 and 1 by 2 by 4 and 1 by 3 by 6 or 1 by 6 by 3. There's the third one of those. So this is going to be, I'm going to definitely be looking at a set that had those pieces in it at the 3 or 4, because I don't remember seeing those many in a long time. The other thing I did run low on is these guys, because reconstituting all those sets, I did run out of these guys. A lot of black, but not many blue left. So actually, I think I have 0 blue left. So that's it. And a Canon holder, which is good because there's no Canon here, but I got lots of Canons without the base on it. So now I'm gonna reconstitute some of my Canons. And again, I think I mentioned this before. I really do want to I did reconstitute two pirate sets, the Forbidden Island or the Hidden Island. Exactly the same set. I did build 2 of them, and they're in storage now. But I want to do something else. I want to see if I can build one of the boats. I really do, because I have a ton of boat hulls, like literally a ton of boat hulls. And I think I actually took a whole bunch to Bricks in the Six to sell. And I still have lots more. And it's a thing that I've never really cared for, because it's not what I want to build, but I do think I should at least build one in my lifetime. So that is on the menu for your edification sometime this year. Oh, sorry, I lied. I didn't lie. I just know I found it 1 by 2 by 2. So and next thing you know, I'm gonna find a 1 by 2 by 4. But I do plan on trying to build a boat, a ship soon. I just don't know when. But of course, when I do it, you'll know. So it is what it is. I'm going to say goodnight, Gracie. I'm very happy with this lot. I'm going to think about washing it. As I say, it's usually a hard and fast rule. Half of this is missing, but again, I got a billion of them right over there from Bricklink orders. So I'm going to see what I can do here. So I'm going to do a little bit of sorting. I'm going to do a little bit of organizing, but it is late and I am tired. I didn't sleep well last night. It is what it is, Ian. We're easing back into work this week. I took the entire 2 weeks off. So the week between Christmas and New Year's I took off, and then the week after. So I just got back to work this Monday, and today's Wednesday. So I just got back to work today, and I did not get on Jeffy's show, which was, it's not a Lego tile. Just wrapped up right before I came downstairs because we were busy doing stuff around the house. Sorry, Jeffy, I did not get on your show tonight. We were busy doing stuff around the house, Sandy and I. And so I feel like I didn't even realize what the time was, because I got home from work and we had to do a bunch of stuff here because we've been elsewhere a lot, and so we decided to do some cleaning, and much needed cleaning. And then I got this lot today, so I wanted to come down here and make this video. So it is what it is. I feel like Jeff's show is so worthy. It always has been. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I am not happy when I miss it. But life happens, which also I've learned to accept, just like I learned to accept the fact that when I reconstitute a set, I might not have all the pieces, and I don't worry about it. Because in the end, they'll show up at some point. And if it becomes really necessity, I'll just go on Bricklink. So I will be on Jeff's show again, and at some point, and I'll say hi there too. So that's it. That's all. I'm happy to be back. I don't think at this point, with all the other stuff I got going on right now, with the house and stuff that Sandy and I want to do, and we want to go out and enjoy ourselves as well. That I'm going to be making a video a day, or sometimes, I make a whole bunch in one weekend and upload them over the week. I think that just prognosticating at this point, there's going to be some dry spells, just like, since Christmas Day to now, before you guys see a video. And it's going to happen, and it's not like, I will say, so again, this is what I said. I said I didn't want to write it in stone that I wasn't going to make this video longer. The one thing that has been, because I have missed this. Oh, this has got the busted piece there. I think I'm still going to keep it. One day I'm going to pull out that big bin and show you all the castle panels I have, which is far too many. And I had articulated it in my head like a week ago. I was going to make a video a week ago, and I just never got around to it, and life got busy again. But I'll try to remember what I was going to articulate, because I really liked what I thought, and I'm thinking about it now, and I can't remember the wonderful words that I was choosing. My wordsmithing is failing me. But this is exactly, line for line, point for point. This is exactly why I don't want to be monetized or want to do this to get money or Patreons or literally anything, because I want this to be about what I want to do and when I want to do it. So and again, I've said this numerous times, I really appreciate you guys watching these videos. I adore the fact that I have friends out there who watch these videos and send me feedback, and those or some friends that don't send me feedback. It doesn't matter to me. But I do log into YouTube daily for other things, but I also check my YouTube Studio, and I check my stats, and I get 300 views a day, which is perfectly nothing below 300 views a day across the 5 trillion videos I got up in here for the last 15-20 years. I get minimum 300 views a day. And when I do post a video, it goes up, and then I post a video for 2 weeks, and then goes right back down to 300. So it's no less than 300, I think. I think that's the number. And what I do appreciate is that people do find the content. And every once in a while, I'll get a comment on a video I made 10 years ago. Hey, I stumbled across this video. And I go, oh, this is awesome. I get to talk to somebody about that video. Usually I have to watch to remind myself what I did back then, but whatever. But I also wanted it to be real. I don't want to make content just for the sake of making content, even though making content for the sake of making content might seem that's what I'm doing, because sometimes I'll just blather on about anything. But my content isn't to attract hits, to make money, to get the subscriber count up. The specific number of my subscriber count means nothing to me. I want people to be here because they want to be here. And I want to upload videos that I want to upload. And if I'm just making, oh, here's a piece, next video, oh, here's another piece, oh, next video. I stumbled across a channel a couple days ago that infuriated me, absolutely infuriated me. And again, it shouldn't, because I don't care in the end. But I watched a specific channel for a very long time, and they produce content literally all the time. And they're pretty big and known in their community for the content they produce, and they are well-known people, and they have like call-in shows where people can call in via phone or via the internet and talk to the hosts at specific times, and they do it live, and then they upload their content to YouTube, and then they clip it and whatever. And I've been watching it for years, absolutely for years. I absolutely love them. And then because these people have been talking so much like me, but important stuff, which I won't talk about, for literally decades now, they have thousands of hours worth of content. And what this guy was doing, and it just absolutely infuriated me, is because this content that I watch is about logic and about moral conundrums and blah blah. And this guy got he breezes through a whole bunch of videos, and he finds a clip, just a 30-second clip or a minute and a half clip, taking whatever was being said in a 1 hour discussion completely out of context and saying, look, this is what this guy is saying, and which is completely opposite of what the entire content was about. But that one clip in and of itself makes it sound like he's taking the other side or whatever else. And he's like, oh, look at this guy. And this person who is doing this has 72 subscribers. Whereas the channel that I'm watching has millions of subscribers and millions of hits a day and blah, blah. Absolutely monetized, absolutely Patreoned, absolutely. And I'm not faulting them for it because I watch it. and go ahead and do that. And so this one guy was taking all these little tiny clips out of context, and he's uploaded maybe 50, 60 videos about this one host on the show. Oh, look at what this guy said and blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't know what he's talking about because it's a logical fallacy or whatever else, blah, blah. And I replied to him. I said, dude, I watched that episode, and the context was blah blah blah, and he goes, no, it wasn't. This guy was blah blah blah, and so we got into a bit of a heated argument back and forth, and I was posting the clips, and he says, you're wrong, and blah blah. So I just blocked him, and I said, I am not a person in this for money. I'm not on the internet for money. I don't want to make money off the. I have a full-time job, which I actually like most days. I'm not here to win favors and money. I'm here to talk to my friends, and that's the way it's always been. And yet when I saw somebody else abusing, basically it was the mouse and the lion, where the mouse was trying to steal the lion's thunder a little bit and to make a name for themselves. And I thought that was selfish. That was erroneous. That was like completely disingenuous, as he was taking things out of context. And I let him know such. And then we got into this little argument and back and forth and back and forth. Here's this stupid video that you grabbed this clip from. Oh no, that is not. You're a liar, Dave. Whatever, whatever my name is in the YouTubes. And then so I just blocked him. Because again, in the end, I'll never meet this person. I don't care about this person. 72 viewers or 72 subscribers, whatever, whatever, dude. like if you want to be the mouse that roars to make yourself sound like a lion, knock yourself out. I don't have the emotional fortitude and the intellectual fortitude to take on somebody that dishonest. But that made me think about my channel, because this guy, I believe, is out there to attract people, because he keeps on dropping the host's name all the time, literally all his text, every other word. Instead of like he said this, is that person, the person's name did that, and the person's name did that. Like through the entire paragraph is the person impersonating. So when you Google it, you're gonna find that video, right? Like instead of the he said this and blah blah, and then he went on to say that, he says no, person's name said this and person's name did that and blah blah, and this is how that person's name did it out of context, and that person, the entire paragraph is just plethora of the host name that he was like admonishing erroneously for the stuff he was saying. So, and I pointed it out to the guy. I said, you're just here to get hits. You are just doing this to get an audience. And then right below that paragraph where he's just trashing this guy wrongly, disingenuously, he's got his Patreon link, he's got his whatever link, all links to donate money to him. He's got 72 subscribers and he's got all these links. Donate money to me, be my Patreon, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, holy crap, dude. Like, you might have other YouTube channels where you're doing all this for, like, maybe you're a gaming channel where you play whatever games and people subscribe to you. But on this specific channel, you have 72 subscribers. And you have all these links to all these PayPals, and if you want to, here's my PO box if you want to ship me something. Sandy and I actually talked about it because people have asked to ship me stuff. And actually, I know some of you who are watching this have shipped me stuff, and I love it. I think I've done videos on it, but I don't want this channel to be that. Hey, send me stuff, and I'm going to make a video of it and talk about you. I don't want that. I wouldn't do that to somebody else. When I shipped, I sent out 2 things today, 2 friends. And they don't have to say anything. But I sent out 2 things today. I don't want them to, oh, look how great Dave is. That's not the point of this. That's not, I feel bad talking about it. That's not the point of this. It's not. It's just me blathering on about stupid stuff, and you guys say, hey, I like to hear about stupid stuff that Dave says. So it's like, it's a win-win for both of us. And so I don't want to be disingenuous, which is one of my favorite words from even when I was in high school. I don't want to be a disingenuous hack. I want to be, quote unquote, as real as possible. And, you know, coming with life gets busy, because it's going to. I have a family, so it's going to take time. You guys have your life, it's going to take time. And this is YouTube. It's not like back in the day, back in the 70s, when you're watching TV and you miss a show. You don't get to see it again until reruns, if it shows up in reruns. This is on YouTube. You can watch what, as I say, I just in the past couple of weeks, I got like somebody replying to a video that I did years ago. And, woohoo! Like, you guys can watch this in 2039. Maybe, if YouTube's still around. The internet never dies. No text on that one. I'm fighting. I'm gonna have to give these guys a close look. Again, I've said it too much and said it too often. I don't want to be a disingenuous hack. And I also don't want to feel obligated to make content just to make content. That's why it's, you know, so long for me to come back from Christmas. I've been busy, and I know I've been busy, and I accept, but I don't want to feel guilt. And they go off on this tangent. I guess I said I was going to wrap this up, and I'm not. I was, before Christmas and before COVID, and actually a little after COVID, I was in the middle, when I got COVID, of a network rollout. And a network rollout in this context is replacing network switches. And you guys might know what network switches are, and you might not know what, but most people on my channel know who I am, and likely geeks like me, we have plants that produce products and offices where people administrate these plants. And so in the offices, it's really easy because there's usually a network rack in a room somewhere that's air conditioned, and it's an office. And so you just go to one rack and you place all the switches in the rack and blah, blah. I don't want to go into too many details, but I'll talk about how I do things when it comes to network rollouts. I spend as much time as possible replacing the switches as prep. And what I do is I have an Excel spreadsheet, and I have usually detailed every port, every interface, every switch, and where those from port does patch. So again, if you don't know anything about this, and a network rack is just a rack with network switches in it, and they have cables coming out of these ports, and they plug into other ports called a patch panel. Usually, and it's like your old phone system. You patch it in, like you remember the old movies when the operator would plug in. It's exactly like that, except they're permanent. So you take it from the switch, plug it into the patch, and the other end of that patch is a jack somewhere in the building, usually for a phone or a PC or a printer or whatever. So, and invariably, in my entire experience that I've ever had, I've seen very, very few people like me who have to know where all the patches are, where all the jacks are, where literally all the nodes are. Nodes is anything like a printer, an AP, like a Wi-Fi, anything that is on the computer network. I have to know where it is. Desktops and laptops, not so much, because they move around, especially laptops. Desktops overall are in one permanent location, but a laptop I don't care about. And I don't have to track them. But printers, Wi-Fi spots, things that plug into the TV, your video conferencing, whatever it is, I have to know where it is. So I look for all the jacks. When we acquire a new building, I go through and I find all the jacks that I can, without moving heavy furniture, because usually sometimes jacks are behind somebody's desk, solid oak, that you can't move out, and it's like you have to work with the wire that's there. But you can start making your assessments. Those 2 jacks that are exposed over there are 11 and 12, and then 2 jacks over there are 14 and 15. So that one's probably 13. So that you can kind of make those kind of guesses. And then if it's lit up at the patch, or oh, I unplugged it, the light went off, then I know that's jack 13. So what I do is I have an Excel spreadsheet. I have the listing of the ports and the interfaces, or the interfaces on the switch, which ones are on and off, and then I see what patch they were plugged into, patch 1 to 24 and 48, whatever, and then out on the floor where those jacks are. The jacks are less important than the switch to the patch, because what happens is you have printers and you have PCs and you have Wi-Fi's and you have servers and you have whatever else is. And usually in this new day and age, they're all on different VLANs. And you don't have to know what VLANs are, but they're on different networks. So you got a printer network, and you got a PC network, and you got a phone network, and you got whatever. And there's ways of combining them. I don't want to go into many details, but if you have your switch and port 1 of your switch goes to port 1 in the patch panel, I have to know that, because when I take that switch out and put a new switch in, I'm gonna have to repatch everything. So all the network cables are in the same spot that they were before. So I have to document that. And so I do that before I even remove a switch. And as I'm removing the switch, so what happens is that I will have my laptop here, type. I'll have the switch there, right there, and I'll grab the wire on port 1 on my laptop in Excel, port 1. Where does that wire go to? There, and I'll type it in. It goes to patch 1 or whatever, and then I'll remove the wire. And so I do, like most switches are 24 port, but sometimes you have 48 port switches. So there's 48 wires coming out of it. I forget the uplink ports, but we won't, you guys don't have to know anything about that. But on my Excel, I track every wire that I unplug as I'm unplugging it. And if you have a network rack of 5 or 6 or 10 switches at 24 or 48 ports a piece, that's a lot of wires, right? To keep track. So, and this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. And then because of who I am, overthinking the plumbing for everything, I actually have on a separate page a whole bunch of VLOOKUPs, which you don't have to know. But basically it takes that listing of patches and switches and makes a document detailing, it looks like the switch, I've color coded everything, and it has all the ports laid out, and it says what that, so it looks like when you print it, it shows a picture of the switch and the port and what it's connected to, a printer, a phone, whatever else, and all the hops it takes to get there. So it goes from port 1 on the switch to patch 1 on the switch to jack 1 that's in Joe Blow's office, and then the phone with the phone serial number. And again, that's mostly automatic, because I don't want to do that kind of minutiae detail. But I set it up so when you fill in the listing of patches and ports and jacks, it fills in the picture of the switch automatically. Now, I do this not just to waste my time. I do this because invariably, I used to use Token Ring, I used to use BNC, I've been doing networking since way back in the day. RJ45 network, Cat5 3E3 is the best out of all of it, and it's better for me than Wi-Fi, but we won't go into that kind of semantics. But what happens is that invariably I will drive away from the office or the plant when I do the switch rollout at, and I'll go back to my office, and the plant manager will come up, Dave, this one printer's not working, it's on but it's not connecting to the network. And instead of me driving out to the location for 2 hours, I say, hey plant manager, in your rack there's a printout of the switch that's identical to the switch that's in the rack. And is port 1 on? Oh, it's not lit up. Okay, so there's a break between port 1 and the switch, and I can log into the switch and say, hey, spool it up, down, and then I say, call your technical guy to come down with, or your electrician, maybe somebody drove over the patch by the desk, whatever. So we can, because there's more information to work from. You're not going into it blind, and I don't have to drive back to the office or the plant to fix this. I can walk the guy through it as much as possible. 99 times out of 100, I walk the guy through it. Unplug it here or plug it there, blah, blah, light comes on perfect. And because we all know what we're talking about. Every switch has a picture. Every switch in the rack has a picture taped to the rack saying that these were all the ports go. Now again, that only works properly if nobody else comes along afterwards and starts moving things around. But that's a whole other story. And so when I was doing my network rollout in Brantford, it's a little different because it's a huge plant. It's like 2 football fields long. It's a massively huge plant. And so you have to have a main rack, and you have to have all these little sub racks out on the building, remote racks, to put switches in to go distribution of the nodes that are around that area. So over in that corner is a little bit of network, and over there is a little bit, and then you got the main rack, and you got fiber connections and blah, blah. And so I was in my heyday. Absolutely, it was my favorite place to be in IT, straight up. And I love doing it because I'm doing it. And I know it's going to be done. Not necessarily perfect, because I make mistakes. I can go into that. I made some whoppers of mistakes. But what happens is that as I'm doing it, of course the network's down, right? And so usually I do this after hours. Usually when everybody goes home, the plant runs one shift, 7 to 4. Everybody skedaddles out of the building, and I'm left to my own devices, which I've been doing this for 25, 30 years on that specific aspect. And I want them to be out of the building. Because this is also what happens, is that somebody feels obligated to stay to make sure I'm okay and to try to help me. And again, there are two things in the world that you do not want to watch what they do. Making sausages, so I've been told, and Dave doing network IT work after hours. You don't want to be around for that. And specifically, if I know that somebody's waiting for me, I get flustered. I honest to goodness get flustered. If I know that somebody's, the example is, I was at the location, after everybody leaves at 4, and this is going to take a while. There's like 15 switches to replace. And again, I'm not going to do them all in one night because I told you what I have to do. That takes time. So I break it up, and I already know what's, oh, there's a little bit rack here. I'm going to do that one night. I'm going to do that rack over there. I'm going to do that switch over there. I had the whole thing planned out, all mapped out, give it to my boss. He doesn't have to ask me. There you go. I have a plan. And I said it's going to take me 4 or 5 nights. And then the safety team says, well, who's going to be in the building in case something happens to you? I go, nobody's going to be in the building. I said, I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't want anybody in the building because invariably I will get the call at 10 o'clock at night. Are you done yet? And again, with the best of intentions, I'm going to take it. The guy wants to go home. He's missing his wife. He's missing his kids. He's missing his hockey game. Whatever it is, I don't want him to wait for me. I'm going to rush then. I'm going to do something wrong. I'm going to feel rushed to get the job done. And even if, and this is, again, my problem, 100% my problem. I told safety this. I said, it's 100% my problem in my head. Because that's what's happened to me before. A guy was calling me up. Oh, come on, we got to be done. Oh, come on. And again, I've done this so many times. Hey, plant manager, I'm going to be in your building from 4 p.m. till approximately 1 a.m. To do this network rollout because I've done many. And he goes, oh, I will stay, or I will have somebody stay to make sure you're okay. And I said, oh, you don't have to. So you don't have to. But invariably, they will. Oh, I got nothing else going on tonight. So I'll stay, I'll play solitaire or read a book or whatever, catch up on work in my office. I go, well, you can't catch up on your work because there's going to be no network, but whatever. And so 4 o'clock happens, he stays, I stay, there's nobody else in the building. I'm way in the other end of the building, I'm doing whatever I'm doing. And all of a sudden I'll get pinged, or he'll walk over at 6. I hear footprints through the concrete floor. Oh, here he comes. I hear it. And then as the footprints approach, I'm getting more tense because I know what's going to happen because I've been here too many times before. Dave, can you, something happened. 9 times out of, you think it's a one-off? No. 9 times out of the 10, something happened. My wife called me, whatever it is, we have to wrap this up. Well, then you go. I'm IT. You have to trust me, first of all, to be in your building because I'm IT. I can really screw, if I really wanted to, if I wanted to be malicious, I can screw you up. But that's 100% not me. I'm good. That's a whole other tangent. I said, I can't leave this now. Your rack's apart. Your rack, see all these wires hanging here? Your rack's apart. It's like an open heart surgeon, and then all of a sudden somebody comes, you got to wrap this up now because I got to go. Are you kidding me? This is the heart and soul of your entire information infrastructure. There are no switches in your rack right now at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. So this entire area has no network. So you need to go home now. Go ahead. I cannot leave here because then you're going to get a frantic phone call at 6 o'clock tomorrow and the guys show up to do their job. The guys on the line. And they, oh, the network's down. and trust me, these guys, union or otherwise, are not going to make a phone call to, because those guys show up first, by the way. In my experience, you don't get the executives showing up first at 6 o'clock in the morning. You don't get the managers showing up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You get the guys who are actually sitting on the assembly lines showing up in the morning at 6 o'clock, because that's when their shift starts. That's when they start getting paid. So they'll be there at 6. But if there's no management there and there's something wrong, management's not here. I'm just going to have my coffee. And when some manager shows up at 7:15, I made this exact case to go off in this tangent. I made this exact case a couple Labor Days ago. I made this exact case. So on Labor Day, the Monday, the holiday, the Labor Day weekend, September weekend, Sandy made a beautiful lasagna dinner. beautiful lasagna dinners. It's Labor Day. We had a great time for the rest of the weekend. We have a nice quiet Monday before school starts, before I have to go back and work on Tuesday. And I'm just about to take my first bite. My fork is full of my wife's lasagna, heading towards my mouth. My cell phone rings. It's my friend Mike. Let's call him Mike. Mike says to me, Dave. And I go, what? He goes, the network's down in our location, in this area. I go, what? Like, what? Like, oh, okay. Honey, that's all Mike had to say to me. The network's down. Because I trust Mike. I work with Mike a long time. He's not one of these guys, oh, the network's down, and it's like nothing. The network's down. I know he did his due diligence. He is not an IT guy, but he looked around, and the kiosks are not working, and blah, blah. So I said, Mike, not a problem. I'll be there. So I dropped my fork, hopped in my car. Wife's going, yeah, it's like, honey, the network's down. I drive out there to the location. He's there. He lets me in. This is at 6 o'clock on Labor Day, p.m. And I show up and I look around. Oh yeah, that's down. So I start tracing it back because then I have all my paperwork. I know where everything is, and so I start making some judicious inquiries. Oh, that machine's on, but that connects over there, and that machine's off, and that connects over there. Or that machine's off and connects to this one. Okay, so that sub rack is dead. Maybe the switch is dead. In the end, I already have in my head. It's a switch. It's the power, UPS, whatever. So I already had 3 or 4 things. We have spare switches. We have spare UPSs. We have whatever. But it's down, so I go and I have to get a ladder because the UPS is up in the wall. Walk up the wall. The UPS, I mean the rack's up in the wall. I walk up the rack and the ladder, and there's no power in the rack. And I see the UPS, and the UPS itself is one of those little UPSs that people put under their desks because there's only one switch in there, and it's dead. UPS, and again, we in the normal instance would have these UPSs tracked and replaced after 3 years, but some things fell through the cracks. Anyway, UPS is dead. I take out the UPS, I plug the switch right into the wall outlet because I don't have a spare UPS with me that minute, and then the switch comes back on. I come back down the ladder, I put the ladder away, I verify the kiosks are on, I verify everything's done. So I get there a little after 6. It was a bit of a drive for me. The phone call happened at 6. I get out there at 6:20, 6:30. I walk around, diagnosing for 10, 15 minutes, realize it's unplugged. 7 o'clock, the network is back on. 7 o'clock p.m. Mike, it's on. See you, bye. Gotta go home. Finish my lasagna dinner. And the next morning, I get my office hours are from 8:30 to 4:30, by the way. So I get to the office at 8:30, and there was some tickets because I have some monitoring software that auto generates when our switches are down, and there was an auto generated ticket for the switch in Brantford, and people are asking about it. I said, yeah, there's a switch down in Brantford. UPS is dead, and blah blah blah. I went out there yesterday. You went out there yesterday. What are you doing? Why would you go out there yesterday? You do not get paid. I get salary. You do not get paid to go out there on your holiday to take care of that. And I'm talking not to my boss. My boss knows why I went out there. Anybody who's in IT knows why I went out there. Anybody who knows who I am knows why I went out there. But I'm talking to somebody else that's in the upper ups. He goes, you did not have the responsibility or the authority to go out there on and you didn't have to, he says. You didn't. Why would you do that? Why didn't you wait till Tuesday morning? And I go, this is what was going to happen. Again, prognostication. I'm not the smartest person in the room, but here's Dave for prognosticating. I said, had I not gone out there on Labor Day, the Monday, the holiday, when Mike was, and Mike was just driving by. Mike is the plant supervisor. He's a plant for the lines, and he lives down the street, and he will walk by because he doesn't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So he's just driving by. He stopped in, made sure everything's working for the guys who show up at 6 o'clock in the morning and says it's down, and they're gonna, and I said, what was gonna happen had I not shown up on Monday to fix that issue? Is that the guys would have showed up at 6 o'clock in the morning, have their coffee in their hand, and they're sitting around, and I can't start the line because there's no network. They wouldn't even say that because they don't know what a network is. They might, but usually they don't because I talk to them. They just expect the screen to be on and they hit go, right? If the go button's not there, they can't turn it on. And so they'll sit around in 15 minutes and their other buddies are sitting around and blah, blah. There's no management in the building. So 6:15 will go by, 6:30 will go by, 7 o'clock will go by before other people start showing up in the building. And it'll be about 7:30 before somebody thinks to actually call or send in a ticket or whatever. And then I am on my way to my office and then I'll get a frantic phone call, because it takes me an hour to get to my office, and I have to be there at 8:30. So I'll be in the car from 7:30 to 8:30, and that's the opposite way from this plant. And I'll get the frantic phone call either while I'm driving or when I get to the office at 8:30, saying the network is down, and I have to turn around, drive up to wherever I was going, which is an hour from my office. And I get there, and then diagnosing, as I just said, half an hour. So the lines wouldn't have been on until 9, maybe at the earliest. 9:30, I think 9:30, and I'm telling this guy, this executive who is supposed to know this stuff better than me. I said, there would have been no product made until 9:30, 10 o'clock. So you lost productivity from 6 a.m. to 9, at least at the earliest 9 a.m., 3 hours of productivity. And forget the productivity, you had 20 guys standing around. 20 guys on the floor who get paid. I don't know what they get paid, but you had 20 guys standing around not doing a thing because the network is down. Now, you think me driving in for that hour on Labor Day is a bad thing? Like, why am I explaining, why am I, and this is like drawing pictures and arrows in a paragraph in the back of each one. Like, why would you even say that to me? Why would you do that? Why didn't you wait till Tuesday morning to fix it? Because there's going to be 20 people standing around. There's going to be no productivity for 3 hours. And again, why would I need to know this? Because it's not my responsibility to. I'm just the IT guy. I'm just the lowly tech support analyst. It's the same job title I've had for 35 years. It's the only one I ever wanted. I'm like Mr. Scott in Relics. All I ever wanted to be was a chief engineer, was his exact quote. And all I ever wanted to do is tech support analyst. I just want to take care of your infrastructure to make sure you guys can do your job. That's it. I don't want management. I don't want a pat in the head. I don't want literally anything except show up, make a nice picture of my racks and whatever, and make sure the network's on, make sure the lights are on, make sure it's running. That's it. Then I'm going to go home. Right? And so I wouldn't have, had I not gone in on the Monday, I wouldn't have slept well that night, because I'm going to be waiting for that phone call the next day, right? Because maybe I know about it. And so that kind of stuff really bothers me when executives say you did something wrong, when I fundamentally know, and I've made the case out loud to people who are supposed to be smarter than me, that I know I'm right, 100% right. There was no doubt in my head that what would have happened had I not gone on that Monday. There's no doubt, because I've seen it. Maybe sometimes they don't call me, and I've talked about this before. And I talked about IT before, that I will get a frantic phone call at noon. Dave, this isn't working. You have to come out here. And I show up in the building and I have no idea what's going on. I literally have no idea. First thing, I've done this so many times. I walked into a place not knowing a thing. Absolutely not knowing a thing. But people are frantic. People are, this isn't working, and blah, blah, blah. And this is down and that's down. And I walk in and there's all these people who are getting paid 5 times my salary, and all these people on the line wearing all the overalls and whatever, and the little name tag, and they're all screwing around like, and I'm going, I get it. Like, things aren't working right now, but all this screwing around is not helping. Right? And I will say, okay, well, let's just start from the beginning. Let's start from the main rack and work our way back to this rack. The main rack looks like it's on. Let me plug into it. Like, you just start with something. You start somewhere. Oh, that light's off and it should be on. Why is that light off? And then blah, blah, blah. And you work your way back. And I've been trying to teach that to all our new young people when they come work for us as either interns or whatever, they get out of college. And I say, nothing, so it might seem like chaos, and it is chaos. And there's people going to be renting. There's going to be a time when people are running around frantic, looking for somebody to blame. Why isn't this working? Why isn't IT doing anything? I'm here. I'm doing something. I might not be panicking like you because I don't panic. You can't panic, but I'm working on it. And the other thing, and I've said this also, and it's happened to me so many times, especially when I'm typing on a PC and I'm working on something and trying to get something working. And I do things, as I've mentioned, and you probably already get, in a very methodical way. Port 1, switch 1. Port 2, switch 2. Like, very methodical, pull one wire at a time, not just rip the whole thing out and put the new one and hope everything's going to plug it back in. Probably no. Very, 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 very methodical, very, very thorough. And what happens invariably is that if somebody's looking, and this brings it right back to somebody looking over your shoulder. If somebody is looking over my shoulder, what invariably happens, especially if there's an outage, and I got the screen open and I'm looking at something over here, he says, "Oh, what's that over there?" Well, I'm not there yet, dude. I'm over here. That could be it. That honestly could be it. And usually it is, because he's standing behind me and he sees something that doesn't look right to him. But he asked me to come in and fix this thing. And so I'm like very methodical, start on the left side, read through all this text and artist drawing, and I would have gotten there. But he sees, and then he thinks he's smarter than me. And again, they are smarter than me. But he says, there it is. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. And then I click on it, and we go on to the next issue, blah, blah. But the intuitive jumping down the page without scanning through everything first also can lead to bad stuff. So I'm very methodical. I will not press the button until I'm reasonably sure that's the right button to press. And so I do not like, and this brings right back to the beginning of this conversation about this stuff, I do not like people waiting for me at all. And because invariably, I like that word too, what always happens, most times it happens, not always, but most time happens, is I'll be halfway through the night, halfway through and it's the same time at a restaurant, and I showed it to Sandy and I showed it to other people. When the waitress comes back to you and asks how things are, every time there's food in my mouth, I just put a shovel of food in my mouth. Every single time in my entire life we're at a restaurant. How is it so far? Like, that's what happens. Never have somebody asked at the restaurant, how's everything going, with me just not doing anything. Right? Well, it's perfect. Because I do pause in my eating. But this is exactly the same thing with IT. There's never been a time when somebody's in the building to help me, or just to be here just in case something happens, that I have 4 switches out of the rack ready to put in 4 new switches into the rack or something. I got something apart completely. I'm at the halfway point where you can't go back. You have to go forward, or because both times are basically equal, as that time that they're going to show up and say, I have to go. You have to wrap this up now. This is exactly the same as the restaurant when the waitress asks how are things going, and I'm all, I should actually be a prognostication guy. It happens every single time. Not every single time with the guys. I will say, when I went out to my location in Edmonton last summer, he had to stay because I don't know Edmonton from the life of me, and I started that again. I got so many IT stories. It's not even funny. They knew I was coming. The plant manager was great, but they knew I was coming, and they knew that I needed to network. They promised me that everybody be out of the building by 3 so I could start. Because this is it. The flight in and the flight out are concrete and beginning and end points of this entire endeavor. And so I, again, planned beforehand. I'll do these switches that day, those switches the next day, and stay an extra day, just actually I was there for 4 days, stay an extra day just in case things go awry somewhere. Because you only need 3 days, so then book your hotel for 3 nights. No, I'm there Monday to Friday, the end. And what happened was that my flight to get there was delayed by 18 hours. So I didn't get any work done on Monday. But anyway, so I told them, can I please, because I never demand, can I please let me know what your times are like for me to do this? It'd be nice if nobody's on the network after 3, because you're telling me the production stops at 3 in Edmonton. And then I can finish faster and be out the door faster. And they promised me, yeah, there's nobody in the building after 3. Everybody's gone. So I show up late Monday, so I missed all Monday. I show up Tuesday, and I get there to the office at 8 because whatever, I want to make prepare, and I'm gonna do all my documentation, port 1, switch 1, port 2, before the night. So I have all that taken care of, all my documenting, all my methodology is already done. I just have to take the wires out and put new switches in. And what happened was at 3 o'clock goes by, and again, I never ever jump out of my chair at 3. When I promise 3, when somebody promises me 3, I don't jump out of my chair at 3 because I know this is what happens. 3:15, people start heading towards the doors. So I'm thinking 3:20, everybody's got to be gone. So I look around, and the plant manager's still there waiting for me. He's going to wait with me. And then, he says, I forgot to tell you. I found this out today. They're having a conference call till 5. 5! I go, you knew I was coming. Can this be late? Can this be moved to, they're doing a WebEx until 5. Son of a, that bothered me. It really bothered me because I had planned my day to start at 3:30 because I know what happens, not 3, because I had taken 2 things in so much account. And I'm going, 5. I go, there's 5 switches I was supposed to do tonight, like 5. The entire main rack, basically. So it's like, there's no, and so gets even better. They had a very old rack, and I had to do, like, this wasn't just replacing switches. This is replacing the rack itself. Because they had, again, you don't have to know this, but if you do, it's a little H rack to begin with. That was nothing. That was there for 15, 20 years. And it was just a spaghetti factory. And they had bought a brand new rack 5 years ago that nobody, whatever. I was supposed to migrate all that stuff in this rack into that rack. And if you know anything about this is the most intensive thing you could do. Is like a heart transplant. Or a body transplant, because you're moving everything over to the new body. And so I documented as much as I could during the day, and I still had 2 hours left over. So I did more documentation, waiting for this conference call to be over at 5:15. It was over. Hey, we're gone, Dave. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. So then I left the building, and then I started taking things apart, and forget the old obscure and obsolete equipment that I found underneath all the cables. Which was something else. The bolts had rusted to the H-frame. The bolts themselves that hold the switches in, that hold the routers in, that hold the patch panels in, had rusted to the H-frame. The screwdriver wasn't getting them out. The screws themselves were rusted. So thankfully the plant manager stayed, because I said to the plant manager, I need a grinder. A grinder. I know what, I built a submarine. I know what grinders are. I've used them, but I never used them in the context of doing IT. so here's me grinding off all the heads of the bolts that are holding all the switches and everything into place on the old H-rack, and trying not to damage the actual nodes. And so that took more time than I expected, because you always build in a safety factor. So I was there. Well, I started at 8 o'clock in the morning to be at the office. 5 o'clock I started the network migration. At 1 o'clock in the morning I left the building. Now that was Tuesday night. Thankfully I booked to Friday, because that was 1 a.m. And I've tried to verify as much as possible, because there's nobody in the building that was besides plant manager, and he was fantastic. This is one of my few people that were utterly fantastic, and he did not at all contact me during my time there, because he stayed in his office. I don't know what he was doing in his office, playing solitaire. I don't know what he was doing in his office. But he did ask me about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock if I wanted a coffee. I don't drink coffee. He came over and found me. And other than that, he gave me no pressure at all. And he didn't hover over my back. And when I needed help, because there were some heavy things to move, he came up. I called him. Hey, John Doe, can you come over? I'm over in X place, and I need this help move this. And he was there. And then when I was done, he left again. Anything else safe? Nope. And he left. It was one of my most fantastic experiences ever in this kind of context of this, where the person was in the building and I didn't feel pressure. No, I still felt it, because I keep on telling Sandy, I feel guilty about literally everything. Like, it's just who I am. It's built into me. I should have been born, I keep on using the term, I should have been born Catholic, because I feel guilty literally all the time. Even when I do something right, I feel guilty. Something I know my mom gave me. I'm not gonna blame my mom, but it's something I still to this day struggle with. I feel guilty about literally everything in context. I don't lose sleep over it, but I do feel guilty a lot. I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. Whatever. And it's not debilitating, and it's not like whatever, but it is something as part of who I am, and as part of something I've learned to deal with. In this regard, so to wrap all this up, he did not give me any vibes that I'm wasting his time remaining in the building. But I try to limit the times that people are waiting on me in IT, because I feel like I have to rush. And this one, because everything went wrong I'm already at a disadvantage, and I just accept it. Like, and I think that's one of the things that made it so easy for me that day, because we did start till 5:30, and then we had the grinding on top of it, which took so much more time. And then the spaghetti factory that was the old HVAC, and again, if you get this, they use 7 to 10 foot patch cables to go from the switch to the patch. 7 to 10 foot patch cables. It's just an evolution, and I've seen worse. And I said this to the plant manager. He goes, "Oh, this is the worst you've ever seen." Not even close to the worst rack I've ever seen. But trying to move this rack stuff in from this rack over to that rack, more stories there. But in the end, 1 o'clock, the building was up, from what I could see. Now again, I don't know how to run the lines. But the machines on the lines were connected to the network. I was seeing everything. Again, my monitoring software that I install at every location, every company I've ever worked for, monitors every single node that's not a desktop or a laptop. It monitors everything, up and down status, and if it's got all the other things available, it'll tell me how much memory is being used, how much network traffic is going, blah, blah. I monitor everything I possibly can, and this is why I monitor. And again, I keep on making the case with my management team and other people that, why are we spending all this money on this management software? It's not a lot of money. It's a cost of doing business. But when I turned on all the switches in the new rack with the new switches and the new patching and the new cables and everything, my monitoring software, this is back on. I don't have to walk through the building if everything's on, because the monitoring software says, that printer's on, that AP's on, that whatever's on. Bing, bing, bing. I get all my alerts on my phone, and then I have my laptop open with the monitoring page open of the Edmonton, and I was saying, that's red, 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 green, or red, yellow, yellow, pink, 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 red, red. And then when I went home at 1 o'clock in the morning, everything was green in Edmonton. Yay! That's a win. And it makes a great story, because there's so many other stories I'm going to talk about Edmonton. But I also went back on Wednesday, first thing in the morning. So I didn't get back to the hotel till 1:30, right? But I set my alarm clock for 6:30 to be back in the building for 7:30, because that's when the guys on the line. Forget the people in the office; they're important. But the guys on the line at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I asked the plant manager when they show up. That's 7:30. Perfect. I'll be there. And so I was there. And then I walk in, they're there just drinking their coffee, getting ready to start their day. And I said, "Hey guys," because they don't know me. "Hey guys, I'm the IT guy from back in Ontario. When you start, just let me know if something's wrong. I'm going to be over there doing stuff over there." And thankfully, none of them had to come and visit me, because they're starting to plant, they're starting the lines, they're starting to make product, blah, blah, blah. I heard it all spooling up. It's great in the morning. I love that spooling up sound. I also love the spooling down sound, but I love the spooling up sound. Well, that started. And there was no alerts on my monitoring software. Edmonton was completely green. The board was green. Happy day. So Wednesday, I did more documentation, more cleanup, more whatever. I'm adding more things to the network that were not done because there was nobody in the building from IT, so I did all that on Wednesday. And then Thursday I went back to finish the documentation, blah, blah, blah. And Friday I flew home. It was a perfect week. I combined 5 days, because I was supposed to be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and fly home Friday afternoon. I lost Monday because of plane delay. Tuesday was the 1 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. I worked a 16-hour day. And then Thursday and Friday. And Friday I was there in the morning, and my flight's at 2. Perfect. That was again. That Friday wasn't the Friday was a buffer day, but my management team says you are wasting money. This should only take us 5 switches, and you should be flying home on Wednesday. I said, "No, I'm booking the entire week. I'm booking the entire week." And the flight delay on Monday made my case for me, because I didn't get there till Tuesday, and it was halfway through Tuesday. So it's like, that made the case right there. And then the grinding also made my case, because I was working up until Friday when I left. And had I stayed all Friday, there was more for me to do. Had I booked my flight later, but the time zone difference, and then my wife was picking me up at the airport. So I flew home. I think the flight was at 2 in the afternoon on Friday to get back here at whatever the time difference is, late. But Sandy had to come pick me up at the airport. So a couple weeks later, I did Surrey, which went off, quote unquote, without a hitch. And I only booked 4 days for that, because it was a much smaller location, Monday to Thursday, where Thursday would be my flight home. But it was also, and this is the non-work related part, it was also the week that Kenora and half of BC was on fire, which we experienced turbulence, and you look out the windows on the way home. It was disheartening. It was sad. I took some pictures of it, of all the smoke coming out of the Rockies, and it was right below us and over there, and it was just like, wow. And it was like acres and acres and acres, thousands of acres on fire, and the smoke going for thousands of kilometers, hundreds of kilometers east. I got to see it live for that minute we flew over it. And it was like, I felt really, really sad and disheartened to see that. But that was, anyway, I don't want to end on a sad note, but so I have a million IT stories, but they all seem to relate to my whole point of who I am, and I don't like people waiting for me in this kind of context, because invariably things go worse when I feel like somebody's waiting for me. I feel like I have to rush in order to, make sure they're okay. If they're not there, also that goes back to Brantford. I told the guy, I said, so this is how I worked out with safety. This is me thinking, so I have my phone, and there's a plant supervisor that was appointed to stay with me in the building, and he's a really nice guy, and I adore him a lot, and he wouldn't have been putting any pressure on me, but I didn't want him to wait on me at the office. So I said to him, I have my phone, you have your phone, we have Teams, I will text you every half hour. Still good, whatever, I'll text you every half hour, give you an update. Perfect, he says. He helps in his car and he goes. So I that's no muss, no fuss. That's these are the people I want to work with. We had a plan. We came up with a plan, and it worked. And so I was there for 5 nights, because 5 different racks. And it went off without a hitch. Every half hour after he left, I text him. Yeah, still good. I would text him, oh, maybe, unlike these videos where I say I'm going to wrap it up in 5 minutes and then it goes on for 56 minutes. Sorry about that. I would text him and I said, I'm almost down to the nitty gritty. I'm just going to get the switch back online and plugged in and make sure all the nodes are up before I go home. I'll do all the prettiness, the bells and whistles tomorrow. So because it's late, and 9 or 10 o'clock, because Edmonton was 1 o'clock in the morning. I didn't want to do that when the place is down the street for me to go to. So he says, perfect. And then what happens is that I have to lock the gates because I'm the only one in the building and there's gates to lock. He walked me through how to do that. And I would text him when I was done at 10 o'clock at night. The gates are locked, lights are off. I'll see you tomorrow. So perfect. And we did that for 5 nights, 5 or 6 nights. And I loved it. And because he's waiting for my text, sure. But I'm not feeling pressure that he's in the building. Because again, when people walk up to me, and I hear the footsteps coming, because you can hear footsteps, because there's nobody else in the building and the machine's not running. They're coming, and 9 times out of 10 it's because something's they have to go, and then they can't leave me because of safety reasons. They can't leave me alone in the building, and I said, dude, I've like open heart surgery. Like I cannot leave right now, or else you don't have a network in the morning. so I'm staying. Like, since I don't report, and I've had to, not thankfully lately, but I've had to pull this. I don't report to you. Yes, you won't rank me in the hierarchy of this company, but you're not in my silo. I don't report to you. The plant manager, the plant manager says, I have this time from this time to this time that I can be in the building. I'm staying. If you got to go, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to call say, oh, you left. I'm not going to do that. But if you have to go, you can go. And had I thought about this, what I did in Brantford a couple weeks ago, before, perfect. I'll text you every half hour. You go. Like, if something happens and you don't hear from me half an hour, start worrying. But I didn't think about that until Brantford, and we talked about it. So going forward, I'm going to suggest that literally all the time. And then safety called me when we were done. So I'm done. 5 or 6 nights in a row. I can't remember any of that. I just expensed them. Safety called me up after it was all done, and safety goes, oh, I heard that you're working in Brantford after hours. Is there somebody there with you? I go, I'm done, first of all. But no, I worked it out with the safety manager of the building and the plant supervisor, that I would text the plant supervisor a half hour. Oh, as long as you got a plan. Oh, That's it. Like I thought they were going to admonish me for not having a person in the building. Now, had I used the lift, because I'm authorized to use the lift, because some things, then I would expect somebody to be in the building, because something could happen when I'm up there. Sure, but if I'm walking around the floor, yeah, I can trip and fall. Absolutely, I can trip and fall. But the unsafe, not the risk quotient of walking around the building and replacing switches that are at this level, 0, 0.02. Replacing a switch that's 15 feet in the air, bolted to the wall up there, a little higher, because now I'm in the power lift, the decision lift. And I don't use them every day, although I am, I got my card, because working at heights, you have to have it. So I did the course. I'm the one person in IT that has the course under his belt. The rest of them are getting on now. But so when I had to do that switch, yes, they're in the building. But as soon as I'm done and the scissor lift's black plugged in the station, go home. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. I'm sure there was a lot of tangents I didn't wrap up, and I did an hour. So welcome back. And I will talk to you soon. This has been a slice. I do like talking about my IT jobs, and I keep on thinking, because I already wrote one book that wasn't great. It was a great book, but not a great subject. I keep on thinking I'm going to write an IT book, not like Bastard Operator from Hell book. But that's an obscure reference, by the way. It's not me swearing. It's called Bastard Operator from Hell. It was the contextual Bible back in the day. But stories like this, because I have a million of them, and including my what I consider my biggest screw ups on IT, which I won't regale you with now, but I've done some whoppers in my life, and I have no problem talking about it, because I don't hide from stuff. It is what it is. In the end, I believe fundamentally I'm a massively huge value-added service to whatever company I'm working for, and I want to give them my due diligence and my efforts to make their infrastructure better. Not for me, not for anything else, but because that's what we should be doing. Again, it comes back to my fundamental point that I talked about on the previous video and earlier. I have an inherent responsibility to the people around me and the society I live in, to the people around me and the society. I can't even speak. I must be really tired. I have an inherent responsibility to the people around me and the society I live in, including the people at work. I am not one of these people who say, oh, screw you, I'm going to get everything I want out of it and do as little as possible to justify my paycheck. I've never been that guy. I believe I'm a value-added service, and I put in the effort over and above, I think, that I think they deserve, and I couldn't live with myself if I didn't. So anyway, I am slurring my speech now, so I'm very tired. I'm going to go to bed. This was a fun reintroduction to 2024, and I'm not even going to do this now because I'm tired. I will talk to everybody soon. You guys all stay safe. Take care. 2024. Talk to you.